Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to do chicken cacciatore with white rice and French beans. So we got a hot pan right here. We are going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in there. We're going to let that get nice and hot. Again, we want to wait and make sure that it's shimmering. You want to work with hot pans. You don't want to use cold pans. And then we'll dive in. So while that's heating up, I actually want to talk about this for a second. People that know me know that I have been sober for about 10 years. And my wife and I found a place online called Clink, and they're not a sponsor, but they have non-alcoholic liquor and beer, and this tastes just like the real thing. So I am enjoying one right now. Alright, so we've got our oil heating up. Let me turn this a little bit. Alright, we've got our oil heating up. We're going to take our chicken breast. These are huge. So what will happen is when they're on top of each other, you're going to fillet it. You're going to cut it in half this way so that they cook more evenly. Alright. We're then going to take the chicken breast. We're going to dredge it in flour that has been seasoned with salt and pepper. And we are going to just shake off that extra flour and place that right into the pan. We're going to get a nice sear on that. Might have to do this in waves. These things are huge. I got my hands on some massive ones. Yep, I'm gonna have to do this last one by itself. It's so big. Alright, so that's searing. We're gonna let that get nice and brown on one side, about 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll flip it over 2 to 3 minutes on the other side. We're also going to add a tablespoon of unsalted butter, which will help with the browning and the crispiness of the skin and adding that flavor into the actual meat. Okay? Alright guys, so we got the last piece of chicken into the pan. It has been flipped. We want to have a nice brown color on there like that. Nice golden brown. While that is actually going, I am using cremini mushrooms. A lot of people will slice them up and add those in later, but because I'm going to use them whole because of the way I'm plating it, I'm going to go ahead and throw them in now. They're going to take a little while to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and get them in the pan, let them start cooking now. Season with a little salt and pepper. And let them go. Alright, we'll check this last chicken breast. Alright, it's got a nice golden brown color on it, so we're going to put that on this plate. We're going to set this aside. In the pan, we're then going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the pan. And we got some sliced onions. In the recipe that a lot of people use, they'll use diced onions. I like big pieces of onion so I can see the flavor. So we're going to add about a half of an onion that's been thinly sliced. We want those to caramelize, so we're going to add some butter to it. We're at 2 tablespoons of butter. Those get nice and sauteed. Now I got 1 diced red pepper. I'm also going to add to the pan. We're going to let those continue to cook. We want to get a nice caramelization on those onions. Once those are caramelized, we will then add our seasonings. We got some white wine, we got some chicken stock, some garlic, basil, and tomato sauce. So this is actually going to be really good. Leave that heat on medium-high heat. We want this to really cook and really start to absorb all these flavors. Alright, as you can see, the onions are starting to caramelize. They're starting to get a nice sear to them, nice saute to them. Okay, another way to caramelize your onions, if you're in a hurry, say you made a steak, you want some caramelized onions on them, you can add a little bit of baking soda to the pan. Chop up your onions, throw them in your pan with some butter, salt and pepper, and like a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And that'll caramelize your onions really quick. I prefer to take the time and get all the flavors out. Alright, our onions are starting to cook. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of garlic. And we just want to cook that long enough till we get the aromatics out of the pan. So once we start to smell that garlic cooking, about 1 minute, minute and a half, we will then start adding the rest of our ingredients. Hit it with a little salt and pepper. Alright, we're really coming along now. Alright, so now we're going to add about a cup of white wine. Alright, and we're going to add about a cup of chicken stock. Alright. We're going to reduce this to a simmer and just let that cook down. Let it cook down, let it cook down, let it cook down. We want it to be about half the size of what's in there right now. While that's cooking down, we're going to go ahead and start our French beans. So we'll add 2 tablespoons of oil to the pan. We're then going to grab our beans. Once this gets nice and hot and starts to shimmer, we will then get our beans and we'll get those into the pan. To save time, I've already blanched them. I've already French cut them. Snapped the ends. I've also already shocked them. We want to keep that color, that green color in there. So what you do is you boil water. You're then going to drop your beans into the water for about 2 to 3 minutes. Let them start to get about halfway done. You still want a little bit of a pop in them. And then you'll pull them out and immediately put them into some cold ice water. And you're going to plunge them over and over again. Because if you leave them in there, that water that sits inside the bowl is going to continue to get warm. So it's not going to stop the cooking process. So you got to blanch them. You got to go back and forth, back and forth. So now we are going to add these to our pan. Get a nice sizzle when they hit. Then with salt and pepper. Let them get going. Now you can add, before you did this, you could have added onions to it. You could have added chopped bacon to it. You can use duck fat, which actually is really, really tasty. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with the beans at home that isn't normally done. So next, we're about halfway done now. We're then going to add a tablespoon of butter into the pan. And I'm going to add a half cup white wine and about a tablespoon of garlic. We're just gonna let those cook. Alright. Our mushrooms are cooking, our sauce is cooking over here. It's starting to look good. What do we always do? We always gotta taste. Oh yeah, that's good. It's making its way. Alright, so next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with about a tablespoon of basil. I'm going to get that all mixed in there. You really smell that basil coming out with the white wine. It smells delicious. Another teaspoon of salt. I'm going to let that continue to cook. Our beans are looking good. We're starting to get that flimsiness to them, which is what we want, but we still want a little bit of a pop. So you hear that pop? Delicious. And we'll be right back for the last steps. Alright, so our sauce has reduced all the way down to where we need it to be. So now I'm going to take these mushrooms, I'm going to taste one of them, see if it's done. Mushrooms are extremely hot. Be careful, they'll burn your mouth. Ooh, I have to feel that go all the way down. Alright, got that right there. We're then going to add another tablespoon of butter. Give that velvetyness to them. And then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. And then what are we going to do? We're going to taste it. Oh yeah, that's good. So that's going to continue to cook. We're now going to take our gigantic chicken breasts and add those back to the pan. See if I can't squeeze these all in there. There we go. Allow that to continue to cook about another 5 or 6 minutes so that that sauce continues to cook down. It finishes cooking off our chicken breasts, and then we'll be ready for plating. Alright guys, so our chicken is about done now. We've marinated it in the sauces. It's very good to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our thermometer out. You always want to temp it. And it should be reaching 165 degrees. Alright, and remember, we're temping the fattest part of the chicken. Alright, so that's done. So now we're gonna get to plating. So let me wipe my hands real quick and we're ready to go. Alright, so we're ready to plate. So I have white rice. What I've done is when you cook rice, it is 1 cup of raw rice to 2 cups of water. I like to add a couple tablespoons of salt into the water, and then when it's done, I'll season it and add like a tablespoon of butter to it, give it some flavor. So I'm going to place that right there, like almost center, slightly to the left. green beans. Kind of shingle those right next to it. Alright. Alright, and then we'll grab our chicken breast right here. We're then going to lay that directly on top. Now, we'll grab some of this sauce. We're going to spoon this sauce right over top, so that it gets a little bit on everything. And then we can't forget about our mushrooms. Our mushrooms we're then going to place around the edges of the plate on the one side. And there you have it. Chicken cacciatore.